First off, Brian, I don't know what I did to you to be after 3 amazing presentations and the presentation before the network break. So whatever it was, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to do it. But if we could just get through, a topic that Shabir had introduced today, and that's really the switch from sending ASNs as a compliance vehicle to using them and continuing to use them as a business transaction, a transaction that will help us be more efficient. So what I'd like to cover here in the next 20 minutes or so is what are the industry's requirements for ASNs? We've always talked about ASNs over the past number of years as the vehicle by which we deliver DSCSA information, among other things. But there was an important reason why the ASN was selected as that transaction, and we're going to talk a little bit about why. We'll do a quick comparison of the difference between an ASN and an EPCIS transaction, really designed and created to solve 2 different problems. Challenges, solutions around continued ASN delivery and exchange. We'll talk about Mint, that Shabir had introduced, and how you can get started with Mint through the ASN opportunity. So let's kind of just sort of recap a little bit of where we are right now. So this is a big year for DSCSA. We've been through, I think, a number of different, call them what you want, delays, enforcement discretion, stabilization periods. But really in less than 30 days here, we will be exchanging EPCIS transactions for all commercial product from manufacturers to wholesalers. In August of this year, wholesalers will start exchanging that information and ultimately will be fully compliant as an industry by the end of the year in November of 2025. Unless you're some of the smaller dispensers that are in the market. So this really is exciting, maybe a little scary, but something that we've been working together as an industry for some time. But we have to now start to shift our thinking, right, in parallel with solving this EPCIS challenge to how do we continue to get the value from those ASNs and continuing those ASNs being delivered? There's a statistic that I mentioned yesterday for those that were as part of TLU. Going back to 2012, 2013, the availability of ASNs in the life science industry was actually quite low. One of the larger pharmaceutical companies in the world was sending ASNs to 17 of their partners in that time period. As of today, they send ASNs through a B2B exchange to over 800 of their customers. Right now, the driver for that was DSCSA, but think of the business value and efficiency that provided to their customers, right? And so this is why organizations like CVS and VaxServe and McKesson and others, a whole bunch of organizations are saying, we want to continue to receive the ASNs, but they need to be non-DSCSA ASNs, right? Meaning that compliance information has been pulled out of the EDI document, right? So the transaction information, the transaction statement, the transaction history. And continuing to exchange those ASNs is really imperative for an efficient supply chain. Now, this is a quote from one of the leaders at Cencora that stated just recently, EDI ASNs will continue as a Cencora business requirement for logistics and supply chain support processes, right? And you'll start to see this same type of requirement unfold and be rolled out here, by others in the industry. So the real point here is that they're not going away. They're going to continue on. Those that may have been receiving ASNs through portals or whatever it might be, there's going to be this desire to receive these as a transaction going forward. And the reason is that the ASN and the EPCIS transaction are quite different in their purpose. The industry was opportunistic back in 2013, 14, 15 when they selected the ASN as that compliance vehicle, right, because it was going to drive a lot of efficiency. But really, traceability and compliance is not what the ASN was built for, right? So if we look at the objective of an ASN, it is really around operational shipment notifications. It provides shipment level information, cases, pallets, and quantities. It's not really designed to exchange serialization information. It covers all products, not just RX products, so any of your OTCs are included in there. Used by a number of different business systems, sent before, at the time of the shipment, EDI format, and required by wholesalers, retailers, your large health systems. Now on the EPCIS side, right, this is a regulatory driver. We're going to glean business benefits from an EPCIS transaction over the coming months and coming years, but really designed to exchange that compliance information as part of the item traceability requirements. So it's at the serialization or the unit level, prescription drugs only right now in the US, used largely by compliance systems. And we'll see it sent at before, at the time of delivery, and you can see the different formats that are in place today or that are currently evolving. So very two different purposes, so these really need to coexist. And the challenges that we had when we were onboarding companies for EPCIS are going to continue to persist as we roll out ASNs. There was a reason why large organizations who were well-funded and well-resourced were only sending them to, a dozen or 15 or so of their partners, was because there was a cost involved. There's a cost to manage that activity. So we go back to a symbol that we've used a lot over the years, this concept of ongoing change that starts to happen throughout your supply chain, whether it be onboarding new trading partners, managing those trading partners, trade partner-specific customizations, batch processing of EDI transactions causing delays in visibility, exception handling, partner resource bandwidth, unpredictable costs, right? So we have to now start to look at the ASN, if it's going to be distributed now out to 800, 900, or however many of our customers we have to look at more efficient ways of deploying this capability. And this is where we can start to go back to what we've put in place around the Opus platform and the network. So from a challenge perspective, your trade partners are requiring continuization of the ASNs to be delivered, removal of that T3 information. New B2B profiles are now needing to be stood up and managed around delivering the ASN. We're going to have customizations that are happening across those ASNs for different trade partners, and then the ongoing maintenance around those ASNs and that delivery. So the solution looks pretty similar, right? It's similar to the approach and the method that we took when we were trying to address the serialization traceability challenges for DSCSA. So what companies are looking for are that multimodal integrate once approach so that they can make ASNs available in a digital way across all of their different trade partners. Removing of that T3 information, maintaining existing integrations that you have today. So what we don't want to be in is be in a position where we're sending information into product track or US compliance and then having to recreate that integration. So how can we start to point that in a different direction to make that ASN available as a business document? Continue to leverage this network success program management organization to onboard, offboard, and manage those trade partners. And then do this quickly and at no cost, right? No cost to you as a US compliance subscriber. So Shabir talked about Mint. This is where we'd like to introduce Mint for ASNs as a specific transaction where you're really starting to future-proof your US compliance investment, right? So that using that same B2N integrate once capability, right? Providing that single link, multimodal, we saw in the demo where you can use a user interface, creating that ASN directly, and then supply chain digitalization. So this really becomes your foundation for which you start your digitalization journey. The ASN is one of what is often referred to as the big four EDI transactions: purchase order acknowledgement, the ASN, and the invoice, right? So starting that digitalization journey across those important EDI transactions. So as Shabir had mentioned earlier, what we are putting in place is a conversion program where we're converting the ASN capability available today in product track, in US compliance, and converting that to Mint. This provides some advantages to you. We'll be able to utilize the same master data that you're using today. It's very straightforward for us to create those Mint links with your trading partners and enabling that workflow to not only create the EPCIS transaction for compliance purposes, but also now continuing delivery of a non-DSCSA ASN out to your trade partners. Our network success team will work with your trade partners to configure those B2B profiles, to exchange that non-DSCSA ASNs, and deploy any new maps that are required, right? Transitioning those maps and creating new maps without the DSCSA information in them, drive testing and deploy. So as you start to see these requirements come out from your large wholesalers, from retailers, health systems, mail order pharmacies that you're working with, TraceLink has your back, and TraceLink is delivering this support. Now, you may be saying, well, this is an area that may be new to you. Let's talk about how much ASN delivery we've been managing over the past number of years. So from a manufacturer perspective, we have well over 100 of our customers using us for ASN delivery today for DSCSA, 93 wholesalers. These are the number of partners that are used by our customers. So our manufacturers have more than 100 of their customers that they're sending ASNs to. Wholesalers have, on average, 93 suppliers and customers that they're sending and receiving ASNs from. And on the retail side or dispenser side, numbers obviously much smaller as they consolidate suppliers receiving ASNs in. We are managing over 15,000 ASN, B2B ASN profiles. At this point, link profiles. We have exchanged over 110 million ASNs today since 2015, again, from a compliance perspective, on a daily basis, in excess of 50,000 ASNs being exchanged. So 13 years of experience in helping companies manage the delivery of the ASN, and now we'll be able to do this for a business purpose, for an operational purpose. and use that as the foundation for POs, PO acknowledgement, invoices, and adding those other transactions. So next steps for you are really to work with your TraceLink account executive. We'll assess your current DSCSA network, understand the scope of the requirements for this conversion. We can send and work with you on a demonstration, show you a demonstration of our Mint for Commerce orchestration. You saw some of that earlier today. And then, also the reports and dashboards that are included by getting you onto the Mint solution. We'll start your ASN conversion project, and then we'll look at how do we expand from there. So pretty straightforward for you to get started. We've done our best to eliminate any of the commercial friction from a cost perspective because we really believe this will add some value to your overall supply chain digitalization efforts. And so with that, I thank you for your time. I thank you for sticking with us across the 4 presentations this morning.